Hallo, liebe Deutschlernerin, lieber Deutschlerner. Hi everyone, my name is Olivier. Mein Name ist Olivier. This video is specially designed for English-speaking people learning German. In this video, I'm going to explain to you today how to identify, conjugate, and use regular and irregular verbs correctly in German. And I'm also going to explain to you what are the specific features of regular verbs and irregular verbs in German. So in the German language, there are two main groups of verbs. We have on the one hand the regular verbs called in German die regelmäßigen Verben, and we have the irregular verbs called die unregelmäßigen Verben. These two categories bring a lot of trouble to German learning people. But in this video and through this video, I hope to help you to identify them correctly in the text you are reading, to use them correctly when you are speaking. So how can you differentiate between regular and irregular verbs in German? I would like to start with the regular verbs. First of all, as their name indicates, regular verbs are regular. It means they follow a rule that can be applied to all the regular verbs. So there is one rule that we can apply to all verbs that are known as regular verbs, and this rule works. I'm going to show you three levels in German how to identify a regular verb. The first level where we can find out to which category a verb belongs is when we conjugate this verb in the present simple, called in German presence. In German, we will notice that regular verbs do not change the verb's term in the present simple. Now, what is the verb's term? First of all, you need to know that all German verbs, without any exception, end with en or n. You can take whatever verb you like in German. The ending of the verb is the same for all the categories of verbs. So some verbs end with en and others only end with n. And now the verb stem is the part of the verb without the ending. For example, if we take the verb mach, the verb stem here is mach. And we notice that when we conjugate the verb machen in the present simple in German, there is no change of the verb stem. And usually it is the vowel that changes. Like in the verb kaufen, we see the verb machen, we see ich mache, du machst, sie oder es macht. So the vowel E remains the same and doesn't change. Well, the second level where we can also find out whether a verb is regular is when we conjugate the verb in the preteritum. The preteritum is a tense in German that is the equivalent of the past simple tense in English. And all regular verbs have the same ending in preteritum, in the past simple in German. So if you would like to build a past simple in German, the preteritum, you remove the ending en or n, and all regular verbs have this ending. With ich, it is te, like ich machte. With du, it is test, like du machtest. In the third person singular, it is machte with t. In the first person plural, it is ten with t-a-n. Second person plural here is tet, t-e-t. And third person plural, or the polite form, is ten, t-a-n. And this can be applied to all regular verbs without any exception. Well, the third level where we can also easily identify regular verbs is when we build what the Germans call Partizip zwei. The Partizip zwei is the equivalent in English of the past participle. The past participle itself is not a tense. It means I cannot say I'm going to conjugate a verb in the past participle. The past participle is a form that a verb can take, and when it is put together with another verb, it builds a tense. And usually the past participle is used to build the perfect in German, which is the present perfect. So here, to build the past participle of regular verbs, we have a clear rule, and this rule can be applied to all verbs. You will notice that all regular verbs follow this model to build the past participle. You take ge as a prefix, then you add it to the verb stem, that is the verb in the infinitive form without n, and then the ending is t or et, just like machen, gemacht, kaufen, gekauft, spielen, gespielt. And in this verb, you see with machen, for example, that you have ge in the beginning, and then mach in the middle is the verb stem, and then t in the end, and that is the past participle. And the past participle of all regular verbs follow this model with ge plus verb stem plus t or et. Some verbs like arbeiten end with et. The past participle is then gearbeitet. Arbeiten means to work. And some other verbs like atmen, which means to breathe, also end with et. It's geatmet. Now let's move to irregular verbs. And the irregular verbs are the category of verbs that bring a lot of trouble to people learning. But I'm going to try to help you through this video so that you will not have any problem to identify them in a sentence. Well, the first level to identify irregular verbs is when we conjugate them in the present simple. In the present simple, the verb stem of irregular verbs usually changes. Like we have the verb geben, which means to give in infinitive form. You will notice that in the second and third person singular, the vowel usually changes. Like we have ich gebe, du gibst, sie oder es gibt. Lesen, ich lese, du liest, sie oder es liest. Fahren, ich fahre, du fährst, sie oder es fährt. We can continue with the list with a lot of other verbs that change the vowel. Like schlafen, ich schlafe, du schläfst, schläft. So as soon as you notice that a verb changes the verb stem in the present simple, there is no doubt about this verb being an irregular verb. But that's not all. The next level is that we have to be very careful because not all irregular verbs change the verb stem. Some verbs try to hide their identity, if I can say it that way, in the present simple, but they are still irregular verbs, even though they do not change the verb stem, like the verb kommen, which means to come. We have ich komme, du kommst, sie oder es kommt. Here we don't see any change, but the verb kommen is still an irregular verb, and I will tell you soon why. Same thing with the verbs gehen and schreiben. Gehen is to go, schreiben is to write. Du gehst, geht, no change. Du schreibst, sie, es schreibt, no change. These verbs, as I said, are still irregular verbs. Sometimes we might not be able to identify them in the present simple. But then in the past simple, there is no way they are hiding again because in the simple past, called in German Präteritum, all irregular verbs change the verb stem. As soon as you notice that a verb changes its verb stem in preteritum, then you know that it is an irregular verb. Like verbs that used to hide, like gehen in the present simple, now in the past simple, preteritum is ich ging. Ich gebe in preteritum is ich gab. Trinken, that doesn't change in the present simple, changes here into ich trank. Now, the third and last level to find out whether a verb is regular is or irregular is also the past participle, called in German Partizip 2. So the ending of the past participle of irregular verbs is different than that of regular verbs. The past participle of irregular verbs always end with en. Like for common, we saw that in the present simple it doesn't change, but the past participle ends with an, which means it is an irregular verb. Common past participle is gekommen, trinken past participle is getrunken, schreiben past participle is geschrieben, and lesen the past participle is gelesen. In a nutshell, I'm going to give you a summary so that you don't forget it. We have three levels how to identify regular verbs. First of all, regular verbs do not change in the present simple. Regular verbs have the same ending, te, test, te, ten, tet, and ten in preteritum, that's the past simple. And regular verbs end with t or et when we build their past participle. And for irregular verbs, they usually change in the present simple. The verb stem changes, and usually it is the vowel that is included there that changes. But notice, it doesn't apply to all verbs in the present simple. Some irregular verbs do not change the verb stem in the present simple, but they are still irregular verbs. The next step to find out whether a verb is irregular is the preteritum, that is the past simple. There is no rule here. Each verb is different. Geben is gab. Gehen is ging. Schlafen is schlief. So we have to learn them by heart. And the third level where you can identify an irregular verb is the past participle. The past participle of irregular verbs always end with en. I hope I was able to help you with this video. If you were helped by this video, I invite you to like the video and subscribe. If you are interested in having a live German class with me, because I am a German teacher by profession, I do offer online classes and classes in person. You can contact me via this email. You can visit our website, www.diesprachenoase, or you can contact me via WhatsApp through this number. Thank you for watching this video. I'm looking forward to reading your comments and hearing your thoughts. If you have questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.